3. Chapter 12 Chapter Summary in which Marinette is confused and Aaliyah is BAE aka the alternate title to this entire FIC. Chapter notes. Here's the new chapter. But first, the answer to a question nobody asked. I've been listening to Ellie Goulding's new album Delirium on repeat while writing this. My little shipper brain can apply each and every song to a specific event, so IDK check it out if you'd like. Enjoy, sinners. See the end of the chapter for more notes. Marinette couldn't explain to you how they'd gotten into this position even if she tried. The pair slid heatedly against each other, chests mashed together and hands freely wandering the newfound edges and curves that crested from behind skin-tight suits of red and black. Chat groaned into her mouth, hand ghosting up her ribs in a frenzied dance that matched the beating of the organ below his wandering fingers. Ladybug responded in earnest, letting her tongue blaze a path along the inside of the boy's cheek before dipping down to meet his own. This patrol wasn't exactly going according to plan. Had she have been in a clearer state of mind, Marinette just might have entertained the thought that perhaps Ladybug and Chad Noir making out atop a very public, very visible rooftop wasn't exactly an ideal situation. But she wasn't in a clear state of mind, as evidenced by the half-formed pleas for more that spilled from her lips as Chad moved his way down her neck. This kiss was different than their first. Feelings sure when they had once been tentative, motions effortless where they had once been stiff. Marinette was rising and falling all at once, lost completely in the hypnotic feel of teeth scraping at her jaw, of claws biting softly into the inflamed skin of her lower back. You want this? Chad breathed against her aching flesh, gazing up with an unholy expression written across his angelic features. She couldn't decide if the words were a question or a command. She couldn't decide which one turned her on more. I want this, Ladybug confirmed, a bit breathlessly, drawing his face up to connect with hers once more. She shivered as he drew up to his full height, their kiss becoming impossibly deeper at the new angle this position allowed for. Marinette felt all traces of doubt evaporate as she positively writhed in the sense of rightness that came with being entwined with Chad Noir like this. She felt powerful. Powerful in a way that went beyond the superficial sense of confidence that came with her suit. Because with his eyes closed like this, body shaking and hands begging for more, Chad wasn't responding to Ladybug. He was responding to her, to Marinette. To the girl behind the mask, and the very same girl who threaded her fingers through his hair as she pulled their lips apart with a gasp. You want me, she whispered into the darkness, voice sluggish with desire. I want you, Chad affirmed in what could only be described as a growl. Eyes flashing, he slowly backed her against the wall to their left, pinning her there despite his body hovering just inches from her own. He leaned down to whisper against her lips, all of you. The words caused her back to arch pleasantly against the mattress beneath her, hands twisting themselves into the sheets as Marinette gave a moan. Wait, all too quickly, the heat of Chad's body was fleeing, the scene around her shifting in and out of focus before fading into darkness. Marinette felt her eyes slide open, flitting their way around the walls of her bedroom before snapping shut once more. I didn't, she thought with a groan that wasn't completely out of frustration. Marinette unconsciously squeezed her thighs together, reveling in how the pressure made her insides squirm. Her blankets felt too hot, only managing to magnify her uncomfortable state of arousal. With a twist of her stomach, she pressed 2 fingers to the crotch of her panties, the dampness there only confirming that she had, in fact. Oh my God, Marinette thought, trying to find the strength to be embarrassed through the overwhelming waves of desire that still coursed through her brain to shudder down her form. I just thought in it, with Chat. Marinette tried to find her bearings, listing out facts to help bring her back down to earth. It was late Tuesday night. Or possibly early Wednesday morning. Hours ago, she was on patrol. Hours from now, she'd be back at Aaliyah's. Her name was Marinette, her favorite color was pink, and she just had a wet dream about Chad Noir. Shit. She threw the covers off suddenly, climbing down the ladder on shaking legs before booking it to the hall bathroom. Flicking the light on, Marinette blinked through the sudden brightness, bracing her hands on the counter as she sucked in lungfuls of air. What the hell was that? She asked the empty washroom, trying desperately to tame the lust that still licked at her core with heated flashes. Her forehead practically sizzled as she laid it against the cool porcelain of the sink, Marinette swallowing down a lump of shame as the image of those eyes, the ones that weren't the correct shade of green, refused to leave her brain. This certainly hadn't been the first time she'd experienced a dream like that. She had been getting them since the vague idea of sex had even presented itself to her, maybe around the age of 13 or so. Of course they predominantly featured Adrian, but Marinette had also come to accept the fact her subconscious mind would sometimes wander to other boys, mainly her other classmates or possibly a handsome movie star or two. She never really read too far into it. After all, dreams don't often contain a lot of logic or deeper meaning. But this was something else entirely. This wasn't something she could dismiss as a product of hormones. Because now she and Chad had made the decision to become a thing. And because Marinette wasn't just simply bothered by the dream, she was positively aroused. Even now, standing here minutes later, by which time she would have normally wound down from her tightly coiled state, Marinette still wanted nothing more than to pick up right where her dream left off, moaning and bucking under. That stupid fucking cat, Marinette thought angrily, helplessly. Him and his stupid flirting and his stupid tight suit and his stupid sexy voice and the stupid way he liked her. No, he liked Ladybug. Marinette glanced up at the mirror, feeling less like the superhero than she ever had before. Reflected back from the toothpaste-stained surface before her was a rat's nest of blue-black hair, sweeping its way over tired, dull eyes. She regarded the red splotches that marked up her bare face, not the work of some delicate blush but the pattern of acne she tried so desperately to cover up during the day. Her gaze traced the stretch marks that bent their way around her stomach, down her thighs and across her hips, frowning as her fingers wound around the jagged path they carved out. She turned every which way, examining her reflection while mentally cataloging each bump and mark and flaw that dotted its way across her body. Marinette wasn't Ladybug. Ladybug was smooth, flawless. The only spots she had were the ones that fanned out along her costume, the only red on her face was that of her mask. Her hair was smooth and her eyes were bright. She never stuttered or tripped or made dumb mistakes. She was never embarrassed, never conflicted, never confused. Chad loved Ladybug, wanted to be with Ladybug. She wasn't Ladybug. Still staring at the mirror before her, Marinette yanked her sleep shirt down as far as it would go, suddenly fighting the urge curl up inside of it until she was completely hidden. Her arousal had all but fled, leaving a dull feeling of inadequacy in its place to settle like a stone in the pit of her stomach. Marinette turned on the cold faucet, splashing some water to her deadened face before drying off and exiting the bathroom. As she climbed back up to her bed, she wanted nothing more than to just sleep. No dreams, no expectations, just sleep and sleep until she woke up as a new person. Someone who didn't trick people into feeling things for girls who don't truly exist. Just as she was settling in, however, Marinette perked up at the tiny vibration working its way from under her pillow. Pulling her phone out to glance at the banner spanning the top of the screen, Marinette couldn't decide on whether she should laugh or cry. She settled on weighty sigh, staring at the message until her eyes crossed. It was many minutes before Marinette typed out a reply, heartbeat faster than she would have liked it to be. Sweet dreams, my lady. 3 good night, Chad us. The word echoed in Adrian's ears as they went about their patrol. It slid around his tongue as he bent down to kiss Ladybug's hand when the time came for them to part. It stuck in throat as returned to his room, plopping down on the floor in a state of pure elation. Us. It punctuated his thoughts, his moans, the jerk of his hips as he recalled the way his lady had said the word. The look in her eye told Adrian she meant it as something so much more than a simple pronoun. It settled deep in his stomach, bursting in an explosion of light and feeling right alongside him. Us. When he woke, it was the first thing that came to mind, causing a sleepy smile to stretch its way across his face. The warmth of its meaning kept Adrian floating all day. From his lonely breakfast, to the grueling 6-hour fitting session, to another boring piano lesson, nothing could dent the sense of perma-happy he was feeling. You're doing that thing again. Plag said, scowling as he gestured to his chosen's expression. If by that thing, you mean smiling, then yes, I am. Adrian responded shortly, unlocking his phone so he could reread Ladybug's little goodnight text for perhaps the 100th time in the 24 hours or so since she had sent it. Setting the device down on the desk beside him, the teen commenced his nightly bedtime ritual of checking the Ladyblog. Adrian prided himself on being Ladybug's biggest fan. Throw him in the ring with Aaliyah or Chloe, or any other die-hard fangirl, and Adrian would have them bested in no time. With a hand tied behind his back. Maybe two. He tracked the hashtag Ladybug tag on every social media platform known to man, always looking for hints as to what his lady could be getting into without him. Twitter and Facebook were always good sources, but the Ladyblog was leagues beyond, compiling all the trending data into one convenient site. It was a stalker's dream. Of course, I'm not a stalker, Adrian assured himself, bringing up dozens of images of Ladybug across all 3 of his computer monitors. I'm just a concerned partner is all. He clicked over to the blog's homepage, stopping up short at the sound of his phone blinging out another alert. He tilted his head in confusion. The sound wasn't the same ring he heard when his phone was asleep, it was the subdued ding of another text popping up in his currently open conversation. AKA, his Ladybug message thread. Adrian tried not to get too excited, giving up when he saw there was, in fact, a new little chat bubble floating right under her name. How are you doing? It was simple question that sent a jolt right to his lady-centric heart. His smile widened, earning a groan from Plag before the Kwame flew off to busy himself elsewhere. Stop acting like a 12-year-old with a crush and respond already, Adrian commanded himself, straightening with a manly huff when he noticed he was sitting in a fetal position atop his office chair. Part of him wanted to tease her about sending non-Akuma-related messages, but then again, she'd probably never text him again. And Adrian couldn't bear that. Well rested and eager to see my lady once again, and you. Adrian held his breath as the typing icon popped up on her end. Were they really texting each other in real time and not amidst a panic? He quickly exited his open windows, shutting his computer down and instead settling comfortably on the large bed just across the room. Why settle for stories and pictures when I have the real thing right here? Adrian thought giddily, returning his attention to the screen below. I'm good, if less rested than you are. Do tell. He had to fight down an irrational flash of what? Jealousy, perhaps, at the implications of her words. What or who was keeping her up at night? Oh, lol, it's nothing. My friend insisted on having an end of summer sleepover and we haven't been doing much sleeping tbh. Sorry, didn't mean for it to sound like I was complaining. No, it's cool. My friend and I are planning on doing the same thing tomorrow. Actually sounds fun. It was true. Nino had somehow managed to secure 4 tickets to the 18+ music festival coming up at the end of the week, and boy was he excited about it. 9 bands, 3 stages, 1 night only. Nino had told his friend, practically yelling over the receiver. It's gonna be so lit. Honestly, Adrian was hyped as well. He had never really been to a concert before, and certainly not one of this magnitude. Plus, as Nino had also wryly pointed out over the phone, it would be nice to show up with 2 very pretty girls on their arms, not the lady you should be thinking about, Adrian scolded himself, returning his attention back to his phone. What are you up to right now? Wow, how smooth and not at all creepy. Horror movie marathon sounds like fun to me. Not really. Wanna hear something embarrassing? Always. I'm a bit of chicken, so I thought maybe texting you would help keep my heart rate down. Hope you don't mind. I can stop if it's annoying. Adrian was caught floating between pure elation and dejection. On one hand, Ladybug relied on him enough to turn to chat when she was frightened. He imagined being there to wrap an arm around her during the scary parts, being able to watch her blue eyes peek out from behind latticed fingers as she burrowed into his side. The thought made Adrian's stomach do backflips in the most satisfying way. Of course, on the other hand, Ladybug had just essentially said texting him slowed her heart rate. Not really something you wanted to hear from the love of your life. Especially when Adrian was sitting in his room, practically giddy over a string of casual messages. You could never annoy me, my lady. Your texts are the very highlight of my life. You must live quite a boring life then. Holy shit, someone just got thrown into a wood chipper. Savage. Is he still alive? You aren't helping. Adrian couldn't help but snicker. The mental image of his ever so brave Ladybug huddled under a blanket as some B-rated slasher film flashed in the background was just too good. Legs aren't supposed to bend that way. Oh god, quick, please tell me something to take my mind off of this. And so he did. For the next hour or so the two went back and forth, sending nonsense messages and exchanging small talk interspersed with her hysterical movie reactions and his own gentle teasing at her theatrics. It was light and comfortable, neither of them taking the conversation in direction that could potentially reveal anything about their identities. It was like a scene out of one of Adrian's cheesiest romance fantasies. But of course, they did have to go to sleep sometime. He thought glumly, as Ladybug hinted at the fact she was beginning to settle in for the night. Oh wow, I just realized how late it is. You're not tired? Of course not. Cats are nocturnal, remember. Cats are, boys aren't. Don't get it twisted, hero. Well, it's my guess that neither ladybugs nor girls are nocturnal, so if anyone should be tired, it should be you, princess. Ha, not likely. I used to be a morning person, but years of being chased across rooftops by a certain someone after dark has changed all that. You saying I keep you up at night? That you do, but I'm not complaining. Besides, I'm sure there's been times I've kept you up as well. You've got that right for patrol, I mean. Of course, chat Ladybug. That's it, I'm going to sleep and so are you. Alright, but for the record, we don't have to be on patrol for you to keep me up at night. Good night, my lady. Marinette locked her phone with a small click, peeking over to confirm Aaliyah was still asleep. Thankfully, the redhead had passed out for the night. Good news, considering she might have definitely been suspicious at seeing her friend blushing in the blue light of her phone screen at nearly 1 a.m. And Lord knows Marinette couldn't handle a second interrogation after the one she had been subject to earlier that day. I want to know everything. Aaliyah was nearly frothing at the mouth by the time they had met up at their usual corner coffee shop, the teen dragging Marinette into an empty booth before grilling her on every single detail of her little night off. We went for a walk. We talked. At the end of the night, he kissed my hand. The end. Marinette tried sheepishly, nursing her grande sugar-filled abomination between nervous hands. The previous night's patrols, both real and imagined, still weighed heavily on her mind, and the intense look Aaliyah was giving her made Marinette feel completely transparent. Like she should just give up and spill every secret she was keeping bottled up. Somehow, she didn't think I'm Ladybug and I'm kind of a thing with Chat Noir would go over too well. Not well at all. You're killing me here, Mari. Aaliyah moaned, hands out in a pleading gesture. I think I've been pretty understanding, considering you kept this guy a secret for God know how long. At least give me the dirty details. Come on, girl. This is me we're talking about. Do you really think there's all that many dirty details? Marinette took another sip of her drink, expression miraculously neutral considering the entirety of last night's fantasy was flashing through her head. Aaliyah eyed her friend suspiciously, not at all convinced. In fact, the two spent nearly an hour going back and forth before her curiosity was sufficiently sated. And finally, I gotta ask, what is this boy to you anyway? Aaliyah questioned, finishing off her third latte before slamming the empty cup back onto the table. I'm not sure yet. Marinette responded quietly, fingers picking at the lid of her half-finished frappuccino. Do you like him? Yes. Does he like you? Yes. Then I'm happy for you. Marinette looked up, Aaliyah smiling at her like a proud parent before continuing in a pleasant voice. You guys both like each other. You've been texting back and forth and now you've finally gone on a date. My little Marinette is growing up. She concluding, wiping away a fake tear. Little Marinette, for her part, just sat stunned at her friend's uncharacteristic change of heart. So, you're not going to dig further? She asked tentatively, earning a laugh. As much as I want to know all about this guy, I trust you to tell me more about him once you're ready. Aaliyah looked at her kindly, still smiling almost in a look of almost wonder. Honestly, I'm just pretty proud of the fact you seem to finally be getting over Adrian. Ah, there it was. Marinette groaned, leaning her head on the table dejectedly. That's the problem, she whined. I don't know if I'm over him, Aaliyah. Well, I mean, you have been less stuttery around him. Before he left for the summer, I mean. Her friend pointed out, shrugging. Plus you seem to really have feelings for this new guy. Another groan. Listen, I know he was your first crush, but maybe it's time to face the fact you just aren't into Adrian anymore. Aaliyah rationalized, poking Marinette's nose until the smaller girl looked up at her. And maybe that's even a good thing. She finished with an encouraging smile. Marinette just didn't know anymore. Not then, and not now, as she laid on Aaliyah's couch hours later. Maybe tomorrow will be less confusing. Frustrating. Marinette couldn't decide on a word. These days Marinette couldn't decide on a lot of things. Chapter end notes. Me, boy I sure do hate the whole, it was just a dream, trope. Writes it in any ways. Feel free to scream at me on Tumblr, I'm there under the same username.